At 93 years old, Hollywood icon Angie Dickinson has finally spoken out about the man who left a mark not only on cinema, but on her heart. Robert Redford, just days after the world was shaken by the news of his peaceful passing at 89. In his cherished Sundance, Utah sanctuary, Dickinson broke her decades of silence. What she revealed wasn't just about Redford's dazzling stardom, but about the integrity, respect, and authenticity that made him unlike anyone else in Hollywood. For most, Robert Redford was a star, a director, an activist, and the visionary behind the Sundance Film Festival. But for Angie Dickinson, the loss was something deeper. It stirred decades of memories of friendship, of respect, and of a Hollywood that no longer exists. But before we reach her emotional tribute, let us look back at her remarkable life and how her path often crossed with Redford's. Angie Dickinson was born as Angeline Brown on September 30th, 1931, in Calm, North Dakota. Her parents, Frederica and Leo Henry Brown, were of German descent and raised their family during the unforgiving years of the Great Depression. Those hardships gave Angie strength and a determination that would define her career. When her family moved to Burbank, California, Angie's horizons widened. She studied at Immaculate Heart College and later Glendale College, standing out for her intelligence, beauty, and charm. At first, she dreamed of writing or working behind the camera, but fate intervened. In the early 1950s, she entered a beauty pageant and caught the attention of casting directors. With her smoky voice, radiant looks, and natural screen presence, she soon landed roles on television and film. Her early years were filled with small parts in anthology shows and westerns, but she worked tirelessly, never losing sight of her bigger dreams. By the mid-1950s, Angie Dickinson was appearing alongside Hollywood's biggest stars. Her breakthrough arrived in 1959 when she played the saloon girl Feathers in Howard Hawks' western Rio Bravo, sharing the screen with John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson. She proved she could hold her own among dominant male stars. Audiences adored her performance, and it made her a household name. The 1960s cemented her reputation as one of Hollywood's most versatile leading ladies. She seamlessly transitioned between genres, starring in westerns, thrillers, romances, and comedies. She balanced glamour with vulnerability, sophistication with emotional depth. Some of her most memorable roles included Ocean's 11 1960 alongside Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, The Killers 1964, Point Blank 1967, and later Big Bad Mama 1974. Each role displayed a new side of her talent, proving she was unafraid to push boundaries in an era that often limited women. Her charisma extended beyond the screen. She became a style icon, gracing magazine covers and captivating red carpets throughout the 1960s and 1970s. Yet it was television that gave her the role of a lifetime. In 1974, Angie Dickinson became Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson in the groundbreaking series Policewoman, which ran until 1978. For the first time, a female character led a police drama, shattering television norms. She played Pepper with intelligence, toughness, and glamour, and audiences connected deeply with her portrayal. The series earned her a Golden Globe and influenced generations of future female-led shows. Even after Policewoman, Angie continued to evolve. In 1980, she starred in Brian De Palma's thriller Dressed to Kill, playing a lonely housewife whose vulnerability moved audiences. Through the 1980s and 1990s, she remained active, choosing roles that reflected both her growth as an actress and her courage to embrace complex characters. She proved longevity was possible for women in Hollywood if they were willing to adapt and fight for meaningful roles. Her personal life was as dramatic as her career. In 1952, she married Gene Dickinson, a college football star admired for his athleticism and later a businessman in the electronics industry. Though the marriage ended in 1960, she kept his surname Dickinson, and it became the name by which she would be remembered worldwide. In 1965, she married world-famous composer Burt Bacharach. Together, they embodied glamour, blending Hollywood stardom with musical brilliance. Their union produced their only child, Nikki, Born on July 12, 1966, Nikki was diagnosed with autism at a time when the condition was poorly understood, and Angie Dickinson devoted herself to caring for her daughter. The challenges were immense, and tragically, in 2007, Nikki died by suicide at just 40 years old. The heartbreak was immeasurable, but Angie carried herself with resilience and grace. Throughout her life, Angie Dickinson also forged friendships beyond Hollywood. She was close with renowned economist John Kenneth Galbraith and his wife Catherine. Through them, she was exposed to a world of politics and culture, broadening her perspective far beyond the film industry. She even visited them in India when Galbraith served as U.S. ambassador, experiences he later recorded in his memoirs. Meanwhile, her path often crossed with Robert Redford. They first met in the 1960s when both were rising stars. He was almost shy, she recalled. He wasn't yet the Robert Redford the world came to know. But even then, he had that spark. You could feel it when he walked into a room. For Angie, what stood out was not just his looks or talent, but his humility. He never carried himself with arrogance. He respected the women he worked with. He listened. That meant a lot. Robert Redford's career soared with films like Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid, The Sting, and All the President's Men. But what Angie Dickinson admired most was not just his artistry, but his independence. He never allowed studios or press to define him. Like her, he fought against Hollywood's stereotypes, carving his own path. She also respected his activism. He cared deeply about the environment and social issues. But his greatest legacy outside acting was the Sundance Institute. Robert wasn't just about making movies, she said. He wanted to change the world, even just a little. Sundance gave so many young filmmakers a chance when big studios wouldn't even open the door. When asked if she and Redford had ever shared a romance, Angie Dickinson smiled. People always ask that. Robert was the kind of man women adored, and I was no exception. But the truth is we never had a romance. We respected each other. We enjoyed each other's company. Maybe that's why our connection lasted so long. There was never any baggage. Still, she admitted his charm was undeniable. Even in later years, with his face lined by time, he had that twinkle in his eyes. He could make you feel like you were the only person in the room. When news came of Robert Redford's passing, Angie Dickinson grew quiet. It breaks my heart to know he's gone, but I take comfort in knowing he left this world peacefully, in the sanctuary he built at Sundance. That was his home, his legacy. She paused before adding, I'll miss him terribly, but I'll carry with me the lessons of his life, that you can be successful and still be decent, that you can be famous and still be private, and that you can chase your dreams without forgetting where you came from. And in the end, Angie Dickinson's words say it all. Robert Redford was the real thing. They don't make them like him anymore. At 93, her tribute is more than remembrance. It's a timeless reflection of friendship, respect, and authenticity. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us for more unforgettable Hollywood stories.